until their teeth are left. They know the game, but you can't beat the boys of the bulldog breed that make old Footscray's name.
The experts who are running the club, you've done a top job.
Eddie Maguire at the Western Oval. Eddie, what have the players been told and how are they feeling?
Well, Stephen, as you can understand, the players are pretty much upset by the whole merger situation, as upset as what a lot of the supporters are. You know, the lives of the players, when you look at it, their lives are resolved around the club for 10 months of the year. And a lot of the older players, as well as the younger players, aren't sure whether or not they're going to be picked up at all, because some are on Footscray contracts and some are on the VFL standardised contracts, so there's no uniformity about the situation at all. But before the meeting, we spoke to a number of the Footscray players.
Certainly didn't, well, we've all, known that perhaps one day this would happen, but, the way, the execution and the way it's gone so quickly, it's just left a real empty feeling. And, as I said before, we're just looking forward to sitting down with the people and finding out what our future is.
Oh, yeah, I'll find it hard to accept, I suppose, but I've got to go into this meeting now, and I suppose hopefully things will be a little bit clearer by the time I leave.
50-50 rather than what looks to be a 90-10 sort of deal. So I just hope that something can come out of this, and we can all get a chance to do our own thing and probably look after our own futures a little bit better than what I think the club's done.
I'll settle down a little bit, but I'm not quite sure, mate. I'm going to get me stand and take it over back home, mate. I'm going to take it back to Vegas Smash.
You are going to take it back?
I think so, yeah. If the boys can help me out anyway.
Well, Simon Madden was allowed in the end with the Players Association, but ironically for a club that doesn't exist anymore, the players were still banned from talking to the media after the meeting. However, former player Simon Beasley is with me. Simon, you were in the meeting. What was said?
Well, Nick Collum gave the guys a rundown on what the VFL put forward yesterday in relation to the merger, and most of the players have come to grips with the fact that unfortunately the merger was inevitable, and I think the guys that are selected in the final 58 players that will make up the Fitzroy Bulldogs list, they'll give it 100% and they'll certainly get right behind the new club.
OK, what about the other 67 from Fitzroy and Footscray who aren't going to make the list? How are they feeling at the moment?
Well, there'll be a lot of young guys who'll be very disappointed if they don't make that list, and they'll take their options and go into the national draft in November, and other guys, of course, will look for other football clubs. But unfortunately, that's the harsh reality, one of the unfortunate sides of it.
Now, there are two types of contracts. There's the Footscray Football Club and the VFL standardised contract. What about some of the players who don't want to play for the Fitzroy Bulldogs, who might like to go elsewhere or don't know how their contracts are at the moment?
Well, that's an option certainly players do have, and if they don't want to sign another contract and go on the standard players contract, well, that's the option they can take. But I think the players from both clubs will give it their all and certainly get behind it and rally to the cause.
We saw some disappointed players there. Was it heated, the meeting?
No, I mean the meeting went very well. There was a lot of disappointment on the faces of the players as to what's happened, and generally, as with the supporters, everyone's still in a state of shock. But they accepted it, and I think the players will certainly perform in the 1990s.
Thanks very much, Simon, for joining us. Simon Beasley. Well, that's it from the Western Oval, Stephen. As you can see, there's still a lot of disappointed
suburbs turn out in force to show the Bulldogs. Thousands of Bulldog supporters donated cash and cheques at an emotional rally at the Western Oval. Brian Schrouder reports.
Western Oval was bursting with Bulldog pride as more than 10,000 supporters poured out their hearts. And they need to pour out their wallets. The Supreme Court has given them 3 weeks to raise $1.5 million.
We'll be there if you're prepared to commit, and I mean each and every one of you, the sort of money that I'm talking about.
The Save the Dogs campaign confidently named its new coach for 1990, former club great Terry Wheeler. And former Chief Executive Dennis Gallimberti spoke out, defying a writ from President Nick Collum.
Whatever we have to do, we will do to get the job done, to return this football club to you people.
And the fans showed what they thought of VFL Commission Chairman Ross Oakley, who yesterday wrote this letter telling supporters they'll need to guarantee $5 million next season to prevent the merger with Fitzroy.
Let's keep him here. Send Oakley in a spot.
And while local businessmen pledged their thousands, die-hard fans thrust dollars and cheques into the hands of the Fighting Fund.
I've had numerous $500 checks, $200, $300, everything. Two little kids just came and emptied their purse out and gave us a whole lot of change, all their pocket money to save the dogs.
Whether Footscray can turn the financial tables, today's rally's given new heart to Bulldog supporters.
No more. Recently it was announced that the financial troubles would force the Bulldogs to merge with the Fitzroy team. But it didn't seem right to Irene Chatfield, who decided to stall the merger via a Supreme Court injunction last week so that she and other supporters could try and raise the $1.5 million needed to keep the team financially afloat. Well, yesterday a meeting of more than 10,000 Bulldog supporters attended a fundraising rally at the team's home ground of Western Oval. And Irene joins me this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Liz. How are you?
I'm very well. More to the point, you must be smiling.
Oh, it's unreal what's happened. You know, it's the support that came behind us yesterday was just phenomenal. You couldn't think of anything else to say.
Yeah, this is quite an effort on your behalf. What is it about Footscray that makes you want to work so hard to keep it alive?
I just love the team, and I think they're just really good triers out there. The footballers are great to the supporters. They talk to the supporters all the time. They've always got the time of day for you. And plus I love Dougie Hawkins, so I've got to follow Footscray.
Well,
it's terrific.
Yesterday's rally must have surprised you even more. Did you anticipate that 10,000 people would turn out?
Well, I was hoping for at least 5,000 or more, but 10,000, well, it was fantastic. And it just showed.
Yeah, as I understand it, quite a lot of them were not necessarily Footscray supporters.
Oh, no, definitely not. To see the colours from all clubs yesterday was great. You had the Tigers cheer squad here, you had Melbourne, Geelong, Carlton, St Kilda, all colours were flying yesterday, and it was great to see the support the general public give football on the whole.
Yeah, did they tell you that's why they were there? It was for football, not just Footscray?
Well, yeah, some did. But I think the main reason was because they didn't want to see any club die out of the league. They all love football. They love to see every club. What they really love is to see them beat Footscray. So they don't want it. They want, you know,
they want to keep the team going for that reason.
That's right.
Well, you raise $500,000. You have about $1 million to go.
Well, that won't be no worries in the world. I think we're going to really easy get it because everyone is behind us. Sponsors are coming out of the woodworks now. Supporters are coming out of the woodworks to help. And that's great to see. I wish we'd had that crowd every home game this year. It would have been great.
Yeah, well, maybe that's part of the problem. I know the question's been put a lot of times, but is sport when it costs so much?
Well, it's expensive now for football, right? And a lot of families can't afford to come to the football at the prices they are and bring their kids. Well, I mean, when I was a little kid, well, it wasn't expensive for your parents to bring 3 or 4 kids to the footy. And now, well, it just costs too much money.
So that's part of the problem, you think?
Oh, I believe it's the whole problem, you know, because it's just people haven't got the money these days.
Yeah, well, you obviously don't agree with the VFL's own research, which claimed that 60 to 70% of those Footscray supporters would support the new club.
Oh, that's just unbelievable figures because everyone I've spoken to, no one's going to support the new club. Definitely not me. I wouldn't be singing out Fitzroy. I mean, it's a sacrilege, I reckon.
Well, I look forward to seeing what your next effort is. Do you have another function planned? I mean, $1 million is a lot of money.
It's a piece of cake to Footscray supporters, I reckon. Next weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, we're hoping a lot of supporters get out to the ground. On Saturday morning, 8 o'clock here, we're going to do a Footscray appeal, and we want all supporters to come. Footscray supporters, and if any other supporters want to come, let them come. And we're going to hand cans out, and we're going to go around to the houses and do a door knock appeal. It's going to be great.
Well, we'll watch with interest. Irene, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I think I just found a VFL club.
Footscray reborn.
After 21 days of frantic activity and fundraising, the likes never before seen in the VFL, the Footscray Football Club has been reborn.
But you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed, but they call Footscray's name.
Last night, the Footscray Council accepted a 3-year business plan designed to launch Footscray as a successful team, prepared by financial advisors Coopers and Lybrand.
That the club will then be one of the most viable clubs in the VFL today, which will be in stark contrast to the situation of only a few weeks ago.
As well, the council announced plans to redevelop the Western Oval, building shops and corporate facilities, plans first exposed on August 30, 1988 on Eyewitness News. Today it was relief and jubilation for the Save the Dogs committee, who refused to stop barking.
I think it's fantastic because it's really a rebirth of a football club. It's galvanised support from all aspects of the western suburbs. The number of members should more than double next year. We've got corporate support that we've never had before, and I think we can look forward to having a new club.
Even the VFL was surprised at the level of professionalism of Footscray's fight back.
They produced a lot of evidence about the corporate support they've got, and they also produced a statement from their bank which showed they were in a fairly healthy cash position, so all credit to them.
Nick Collum, the president who negotiated the merger package with Fitzroy, says he'll always support Footscray.
So I'm really pleased. In fact, the real culprits at Footscray have been the people who haven't supported it over the years, and I'm not one of those, I can assure you.
So what now of Fitzroy?
But they have also been able to trade profitably in their own right, and now they will continue on as the Fitzroy Football Club.
VFL's Ross Oakley. Firstly, to Mr Oakley, Ross, the fact that you're still in London would indicate you didn't expect the Dogs to survive.
No, I don't think that's so, Ed. It doesn't matter really whether we're in Melbourne, Sydney or London. We can still do our job. And we had our meeting here yesterday in London, linked up with the commissioners in Melbourne and made the decision.
Well, Peter, an amazing effort by the Bulldogs fans. Have you got anything to say to the VFL?
Yes, well, I'd like to know that we're debt-free. We've got a strong trading position for next year. We've got a good team with the best young players in the league, and look out for Footscray in the 1990s.
Is it a band-aid solution, or is there a long-term future for Footscray?
Well, it's the debt recovery is a band-aid solution. It's recovered our debt for us, but we've signed sponsorships in the last week, particularly with our major sponsor, ICI, which will see us as probably the most financially viable club going into the 90s.
Have you asked for any concessions from the VFL?
We've sought a few. We've asked for our first game to be at home. We've asked for 11 home games, and we want a 5-goal start against Hawthorn.
Well, Ross, what about the future merger plans and the National League?
Well, the future merger plans, Ed, as you would know, are in the hands of the clubs that have financial problems. All we did at the Hobart Conference was to offer a package that would help those clubs in trouble. Now, Footscray, the past Footscray board opted to take up that offer on the basis that they were really struggling badly financially. And we're quite delighted to see that this new foundation has been able to really get some support back behind the club, basically because of the action that was taken, in my view, by the previous board. It has precipitated this tremendous support and a lot of hard work by the foundation, of course, on top of that.
Finally, Ross, anything to say to the Bulldog fans?
Well, all I can say is well done. You've really come out of the woodwork, and we've got to congratulate you for what you've been able to achieve in the last 3 weeks, and good luck in the season to come.
Well, thanks very much, Ross Oakley in London, and thank you, Peter Gordon, for joining us here in the studio.
Thanks, Eddie.
The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting has ended in Malaysia with Britain's
including players. You know, there was about 1.3 to $1.8 million worth of people that had to be paid. We got to the VFL today. We were informed categorically it was the end of the line. We were about to have our licence revoked, withdrawn, and we had to make a decision. The decision that we made was to go with the merger option. You know, there we are.
Well, you've been painted as a bit of the bogeyman today. How are you feeling?
Well,
I mean, you've been around the club for so long.
Yeah, I bagged for the Footscray Football Club as long, if not more than longer than a lot of people. The only difference between me and a lot of people is that I might have put in more money and more time. But, you know, anyone who thinks that I'm enjoying it is wrong.
Well, there's a Save the Dogs campaign started. There's some talk about a Supreme Court injunction. What do you say to the Footscray football supporters?
Look, if anyone can get the VFL to change their mind, that's fine. You know, I'm behind that. But I'm here to tell them that they won't be able to. The Footscray Football Club as such is finished. It's now the Fitzroy Bulldogs. And really they should get behind this new club and make sure that it's successful.
Finally, Nick, will you have any involvement with the new club, and how do you think it'll go?
Well, I don't think so. At this stage, I don't really feel like being involved, but, you know, that may change if I'm asked, but I wouldn't think so. How it'll go, I think it'll be a very strong on-field club and very strong off-field club. It'll have no debts and it'll have great players.
Thanks very much, Nick, for joining us tonight on Eyewitness News.
Eddie.
So, Stephen, an historical day in VFL football, the day that Fitzroy and Footscray ended their careers in the VFL. Be delighted.
Well, I'm terribly delighted, Eddie, that Footscray have been given a new lease of life, and the bite is back in the Bulldogs once more at the Western Oval, and the public of Footscray must be commended for the battle they have put up in the last 2 or 3 weeks to raise the money to keep the club in the competitive nature for the 90s, and I'm very, very delighted up here at Cobram to have read the news this morning.
And your stand, well, it won't be a relic anymore.
No, my stand won't be a relic. I may have to give it a new coat of paint, but I'm very happy, as you probably can well see, and with the Sun 2 at the moment, all the talk this today has been more on Footscray after the news this morning broke, more so than the Sun 2, but I am a delighted man, and I'm sure that many of the players that have played and bled for Footscray in the past, and the elderly people of Footscray also would be just as delighted as I am to think that the Victorian Football League have given them another chance.
Just quickly, Ted, you said you were happy, probably merry. Are you going to celebrate tonight?
Am I going to celebrate? To all you people of Footscray that have done the right thing, good luck. A pie and a can of Foster's. All the best to the Bulldogs.
Good on you, Ted. And no doubt all former players of the Footscray Football Club are just as delighted as Ted that their club is no longer history. And so too are the current players and new coach Terry Wheeler, who will now achieve a lifetime ambition in coaching Footscray.
So, I mean, it's an objective I've always had in my life, to be able to coach the Footscray Football Club, and now it's been realised. I think any player that plays football, even today, I still think there's a little bit of the jumper inside of them. What has happened now with the rebirth of the new club, that identity of the Footscray Football Club is just so clearly defined now.
For champion wingman Doug Hawkins, who threatened to take down his Doug Hawkins wing sign, the reprieve is an answer to his prayers.
Originally, I didn't think they were ever going to make it. You know, it was a really big target in such a short time, but to Peter Gordon and his Save the Bulldogs committee, I mean, it's been a fantastic effort, and I'm sure not only myself, but all the Footscray players will be absolutely wrapped out of the world.
And what of round 1, 1990?
Round 1 will be a very interesting day, Eddie. We'll be thoroughly prepared physically, mentally, and I think the heart side of things, the emotional
sparked an immediate outcry from Bulldogs fans. The reaction was expected, but the extent of their determination to keep the club alive wasn't. Within hours, a mammoth fundraising drive was underway, and the lady spearheading the campaign was Irene Chatfield. Irene never dreamed that one day she'd take on Australia's most powerful sporting body, but she did, and won.
It's very hard to express how I feel. I just feel really, really ecstatic over it. You know, this morning I had tears when I turned the radio on and they said VFL and Footscray have made the deal and Footscray will stay there. The tears just flowed. You know, you couldn't help it. I was really, really pleased.
Door knocks and rallies were a constant part of the western suburbs during the past 3 weeks. Their target of $1.5 million was gradually being whittled down. Then finally the supporters had raised enough to convince the league Footscray was financially sound. During a meeting at league headquarters last Monday night, VFL chiefs were presented with a bank statement showing $1.1 million in the coffers and a further $900,000 in sponsorship. There was little alternative but to give the Bulldogs another chance. And that's a decision that pleased everyone in the West, not least of all its favourite son, Ted Whitten.
I certainly hope that all this money that has been raised and given by the business people of Footscray, ICI, in the western suburbs, that they can realise it's got to be a long-term project, not just a one-off. You know, they said 3 years, they would be viable to trade for 3 years. I hope that can be true, but the most important thing is that they are successful on the field.
Throughout the fight, former Footscray president Nick Collum became the bogeyman of the West and was accused of selling out. But regardless of how people feel about him, Collum is still a Bulldog supporter through and through.
I'm just pleased that the bulk of the Footscray supporters have been jolted out of their apathy and in fact have seen that this is a crisis situation. I mean, we've been saying that for some time. It's pleasing to me that now the man in the street has had his say and has gotten behind the club, because that was always going to be the danger.
The supporters have now done their job. In fact, it's a job that will need to be continued for a while yet. But it could also be a waste of time if the players don't respond on the field next season. The success of Footscray's campaign has given other struggling clubs a stimulus to also erase their debt and guarantee survival.
Providing they could raise $1.8 million. The task seemed impossible, but the power of the common people was grossly underestimated. Rob Asprey takes up the story.
This modest commission residence in the Melbourne suburb of Glenroy is home to Irene Chatfield.
Everyone reckons you can't do nothing wrong with dead potatoes. I did. They went rock hard. My brother and I were throwing them like a football at each other. It was unbelievable. Fair dinkum.
In 1969, Irene received extensive plastic surgery after a shocking car accident. Now at 40, she's an invalid pensioner, divorced and living with her parents.
That's good. Well, at least you can do that all right.
Yeah, I can boil a cup of coffee.
3 weeks ago, Irene's world was shattered when the VFL announced Footscray must merge with Fitzroy or face extinction. But Irene, who had barracked for the Bulldogs for 35 years, was to stage her own dogfight. Representing the Save the Dogs committee, she won a 24-hour stay of proceedings in the Supreme Court.
The people proved what I did was right because they stood up for it. And I think, well, they're the ones to be recognised.
The VFL then gave Footscray 3 weeks to prove they could meet their debts and continue to exist. What was an impossible task suddenly became a reality. The power of the people from the western suburbs will never be underestimated again. Public donations totaled more than $1 million, while another $1 million was clinched in sponsorships, including $250,000 from their major backer, ICI. Last Monday was Judgment Day. What resembled a football rally was in fact a council meeting where chartered accountants Coopers and Lybrand outlined a business plan spanning 3 years and showing how Footscray could be viable. Later that night, based on the information presented, the VFL conceded the Bulldogs were entitled to live on.
It's fantastic, but it needed this action to be taken to have them realise that it was so desperate. The annual report, as I said last year, of the Footscray Football Club detailed it quite graphically, but no one reacted, no one responded to it. It needed this sort of crisis to bring it to a head.
Now the new coach, Terry Wheeler, faces the biggest challenge.
The demands are really placed upon us now due to the response of the community. They've said that they love their football club, they want their football club, they want something they can look up to. The players now and myself, we're the ones who have to be able to deliver those goods.
Irene Chatfield does not expect to receive any recognition from the new Bulldogs. But in the eyes of those who rallied against all the odds, she is a folk hero.
Irene, what would have been more important? Winning this court case and saving Footscray, or winning Taxlow?
Winning to save Footscray, for sure.
Rob Asprey reporting for Sports World.
Yeah, it just goes to show how lots and lots of the so-called little people can get the job done. You've got to give it to them. But what of Fitzroy? It's the unluckiest loser in all of this. They were the reluctant partners in the